Most people think that you have to have 20% to buy a home in Jacksonville, but that's simply not true. You can buy a home for much less. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to do that. So where does the 20% down rule come into play? It was something that was done a lot, many years ago because frankly, the prices of the houses were a lot less. So coming up with 20% down like 20, 30 years ago wasn't so crazy because the amount wasn't as much. Now, I'm not saying there's not a benefit to paying 20% down. There is. I mean, it's the obvious. The more you put down, the less your payment's going to be. Also, there is what's called PMI that gets added onto your payment if you're not putting more than 20% down. That stands for private mortgage insurance. So it's a fee based on the price of the house. And in the event, if you were to ever go into foreclosure, it protects the bank so that they don't lose what they've loaned to you. It's insurance for them. So, but if you pay more than 20% down or more, then you won't have that PMI, which does save you money. But not everybody has 20% down to put for your mortgage because, frankly, like I mentioned, the prices of the houses are a lot more. So the good thing is that 20% down mentality, while it's not a bad thing, it's just unrealistic. It's not what you really need to be able to buy a home. There are certain loans that require less down. There's FHA, which is 3.5% down. There's conventional, and most people think of conventional that it's only 20% down, but that's not the case either. They have 3% down, they have 5% down, 10% down, of course, 20% down. Now, if you get an FHA loan versus a conventional, then you can also have a lower interest rate on an FHA loan compared to a conventional loan. So that's something to think about as well. But here is the caveat to that. On conventional loans, once you've paid down your balance to like 20% equity or more, you can request an appraisal to be done through your mortgage company to remove the PMI that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And that will save your payment too. That'll reduce your payment based on that PMI. FHA, you used to be able to do that. Not anymore. So with your FHA loan, no matter what you pay down, it's always going to have the PMI unless you refinance it. Then there's also USDA loan. That's the loan for beef people. That's what you think when you hear a USDA loan, isn't it? I know, I mention this every time. It's just, I'm immature still. But USDA loan is actually zero down. And it's for rural areas. So let's say, I'll give you an example. In my area, there's Middleburg. Most of Middleburg, not all, but when you go south Middleburg, is in rural areas. Keystone Heights is another one, Callahan. So we could put in the address of the property you're interested in, and it will tell us, yes, it's in the map section so that it qualifies for USDA. There's also VA, and since we have a lot of military folks here with the base close by, VA is another loan that's 0% down. Now, I need to mention that when we talk about down payment, that is totally different than closing costs. Closing costs are in addition to that. So each program has closing costs, and those are related to like title insurance, closing the house. The mortgage company has certain costs that they have too. There are certain fees that go to the government, the local government as well. That is usually, rough guess, is 3% of the purchase price. But sometimes you can have the seller pay that on behalf of you into the contract so that you do not have closing costs at all, or maybe a lot less than you would have if they hadn't paid for it. There is also down payment assistance. In this one video, which will be linked at the end of the video, so you can watch that one, I talk about the Florida Hometown for Heroes program. And that one, if your occupation is on that approved list, you could get up to $35,000 to go towards your first home, if you're a first time home buyer, which means you haven't owned a home within the past 3 years. Now, they base it off of 5% of the purchase price that you can get. That can go towards your closing costs and also your down payment, depending on which loan you apply for. So if you've been holding off on buying a home because you thought you had to have 20% down and an arm and a leg, you may be closer than you think. Now, if you're interested in what options are available to you to buy a house in Jacksonville or the surrounding areas, just reach out to me. I'll have my contact information in the description box below. Um, I can walk you through different programs so you can see what you could qualify for so that you could stop renting and own a house of your own. And without giving up your avocado toast and your chocolate mocha lattes, as some people say is what's holding you back from buying a home. I am not saying that, I'm just trying to throw a little bit of humor in there. So check out this video about the Florida Hometown Heroes so you can see if that could be an option if you are on that Hometown Hero approval list.